Hello, Giants fans. Welcome to Giants Baseball 101. I'm Gabe Vaughn, your host. The Giants lost to the Diamondbacks 7-1 today. I'm not sitting here telling you that the game's up and that the Giants are out of it at this point, but just based on all of the evidence, I think that it stands without saying that a playoff spot has become incredibly unlikely for the Giants. It's just and that's a strong statement right here to make after everything that we've hoped for this year, but unfortunately it's just the way the evidence points. And the Giants had to lose a lot of big games to bring themselves to this point, but it's where we are right now. I mean, the team has just it's been mismanaged for a while now, and after the Giants just got to this point, I'm not sure if this will be enough, at least for them to decide it's time to make changes in their approach in the future. But this was the game where Logan Webb was on the mound. So I said yesterday I didn't see any better opportunity for them to win, but they weren't able to pull it off when Logan Webb was on the mound. He wasn't terrible. He allowed 3 runs through 6 innings. I guess that's okay, but the Giants just weren't able to get the bats going. I mean, Lamont Wade Jr. led off the game with a solo shot, but other than that, the bats just weren't able to get anything going. And after Webb departed, Ryan Walker came in, allowed 4 runs, and that just killed everything for the Giants right there. And they lost the second of 2 games against the Diamondbacks. They have 10 more to play, and just several, I believe it's like 7 of them. I don't know exactly how many, but it's 2 separate sets of games against the Dodgers. So the Dodgers and Padres make up the entirety of the teams that the Giants are facing for the remainder of the regular season, and that's not going to be easy competition. In order for the Giants to lock down a playoff spot, I'd say they need to win at least 7 out of the remaining 10 games. And I can't guarantee that even that will be enough. I mean, they're behind the Cubs 3 games for the final National League wildcard spot, and that's just a lot, just where we're at right now with so few remaining games, just such little time left for the Giants to jump back into things. But I would say definitely they'd have to win at least 7 games, and how they would do that, I honestly just don't know. I mean, Alex Cobb is not going to be pitching again for the remainder of this season. It makes a little bit more sense finding out about his hip injury. It just makes a little bit more sense why he was so ineffective yesterday. I mean, I didn't realize that he had that hip problem when I was talking about his performance yesterday, but I guess I can grasp a little bit better, just really bad timing for this injury. And then obviously Logan Webb's start today. Whatever you think about it, whether you think 3 runs in 6 innings was solid, or whether you just be like, that's not good enough for the Giants ace. And I would tend to take the latter position, honestly, but it's just the point is the Giants were not able to win it when it mattered. That's the best arrangement I can think of, having Logan Webb on the mound. Now they don't get him on the mound again for, well, until Monday. So They have to play this 4-game series against the Dodgers without either Cobb or Webb starting. And honestly, I'm not saying that big things don't happen, but it is, I'm just being totally honest with you here. It is just very hard for me to see a realistic scenario where the Giants do this here. Again, there's just very little time left for them to come back and get into a playoff spot, and it just things would have to go completely contrary to what our natural expectations would be. That's the least I could really say about it here. So that it's just the Giants, that they weren't able to build a better roster than this really goes back to just the things we were thinking about last offseason. I mean, you only need to look at the trade deadline, like the two acquisitions the Giants made. Mark Mathias, he's on the 60-day injured list. AJ Pollock was released in early September. It's very fair to say they got absolutely nothing out of the trade deadline. I will give that they didn't give up anything really for Mathias and Pollock. I think it was pretty much just cash and maybe very invaluable players. It's just they needed to be aggressive, and that's what they somehow plan to do. But I just don't know what that means anymore. They're not able. They have not been able to build a competitive team, and it was the case with last offseason too in signing players. I wonder if Farhan Zaidi would have been better off to never having read Moneyball. I mean, that could. I would say that the message contained in that book might benefit a team's business-like way of thinking if they really know like how to implement it, how to implement those ideas in an effective way. But I mean, just the small ball that the Giants have been trying to play here, it just has not been working, honestly. I mean, I happen to know that Farhan Zaidi, while he was a student at UC Berkeley, he read Moneyball, and he said that it changed his life. And right now, though, it's like he's trying to put those principles of, I guess, to simplify things, making a lot out of a little. And I feel like, and I know I'm making guesses here, I feel like he's trying to put some of those principles into play in just an ineffective way. And sometimes that can just be a distraction from when you really do have to go about things kind of the traditional way and go after top level talent, which that is the thing that it's just very obvious that the Giants are not doing, and they haven't been doing it for a while. And they can't keep rebuilding forever. It was back in like 2018 and 2019 when they were supposed to be rebuilding, and rebuilding, it should always be planning for contention at a later date. And we're in 2023 now, and the fact that they don't appear to be in good position to get back into the postseason, I mean, it's got to be at least some evidence that the rebuilds that the Giants have tried to execute previously have hardly been successful. I mean, the organizational philosophy of a few years ago, it at least to me, it apparently was supposed to be a playoff, a serious and deep October run right about now. And where we're at right now, I don't feel that too much progress has been made if the Giants are just still thinking about rebuilding and continuing to think about rebuilding. There has to be a point where we're going to see the fruit of all of this, and it just it's taking the Giants too long to do what they need to do. I think that's the least, honestly, that we can say about it here. So going forward for this year, yeah, it's got to be at least 7 out of the 10 remaining games. I think that's a pretty clear fact, and even then, they have to hope for some luck. They have to hope for that their competition will lose some games, and I don't see how they're going to do this, but I guess until they're mathematically eliminated, we do just hope for the best. And I will say that it has been the case this year that at some of the times when maybe you'd least expect, the offense has gotten hot, and the Giants have hit for power and scored, been on fire and scored a lot of runs in some pretty big games. So that's probably the main thing that we're hoping for right now, that there will be some kind of a new explosion with the bats. It's not likely, but as long as it's not completely impossible, I would say that that's what we're hoping for. So we go into tomorrow where the Giants take on a 4-game series against the Dodgers and begin this last run at the final National League wildcard spot. Thank you for watching. This has been Giants Baseball 101. Please subscribe if you haven't. Also, please leave your questions and comments. You know where to do it. I'll see you next time on Giants Baseball 101.